You know you shouldn't be texting this person, but yet every part of your being is pulling you to do it. You can't stop breaking no contact. You're obsessing. You're ruminating over someone that you know is wrong for you. That you? If you can relate to this, then in this video, I'm going to explain to you exactly why you're feeling this way and what you need to do in order to break free from it for good. And I try my best to really simplify this information as much as I could so that it doesn't sound too sciencey, but I promise you that if you stick to the end of this video, it's all going to make sense for you and you're going to be sitting there like, okay. So first I want to start off by saying there is nothing wrong with you. You're not weak and it's not your fault that you're feeling this way. It's actually a normal response when you're trauma bonded with another person, because what this does is it creates changes in your brain that leads you to becoming addicted to the narcissist. So you're not going through a normal breakup here. And don't worry, because this can obviously be reversed. And I'm going to go more into depth as to why this even takes place so you can really understand or start to gain more clarity over what you're experiencing. So if you're coming from a place of not feeling good enough right at the beginning of a relationship with a narcissist, they are amazing at knowing exactly what you're missing, what you're lacking, and giving that to you, which feels as if it's healing that wound inside that you probably are not even aware that it was there. But as we know, as time passes, their mask slips and they'll start to devalue you or just discard you. And as a codependent who derives their self-esteem through the behavior of others, this is when you try harder and harder and go into a fawn response, which simply means you start people-pleasing because you are dependent on their validation in order to regulate your nervous system to feel good enough. So because of the nature of these relationships, where there's unpredictable moments of intense highs of affection, excitement, cycled with very low moments of abuse and neglect, which is known as intermittent reinforcement, just like a gambler at a slot machine, this is what floods your brain with dopamine. And dopamine is a feel-good neurotransmitter that affects the pleasure reward center of your brain, and it induces similar brain activity that you would see in drug addiction. Yes. So this means it gets you hooked into bonding with this person, where getting a text from them is literally like getting your next hit. And because your brain and body are in such a dysregulated state, it's hard for you to get a hold of your emotions or think logically. So this whole cycle creates a powerful emotional bond to this person, where you end up developing empathy and sympathy for them, where you then start to make excuses for their behavior as a defense mechanism. So you're going into denial as an automatic response from your brain to protect you from seeing the painful reality of the situation. It's not something that you're just consciously choosing. And these abuse patterns can feel normal at a subconscious level if you grew up this way, meaning that your nervous system is more susceptible and conditioned to continue out these patterns. And there's a part of your brain called the hypothalamus that releases peptides for every single thought and emotion you have based on your perception of an event that relates to your past experiences. And if these peptides are ones of trauma, abandonment, betrayal, these are the types of negative peptides that get released into your bloodstream, where every cell takes it in and you feel this rush of pain in your body that causes physiological changes to occur that can feel unbearable and leave you powerless to move on from this toxic relationship because of the very fact that you're looking for relief from it. And the bigger the emotional charge of an event, the more of these peptides get created on that topic, and it causes your body to get addicted to them, that you are experiencing, even if you're out of the relationship. Because the more you are constantly experiencing large doses of these emotional states, like stress, the more the receptors for these peptides double, and you then become hardwired to crave these specific emotions. The thing is, your cells don't have preference regarding if these peptides make you feel bad or good. It just gets habituated to feeling this way, and your brain then registers this as your familiar. Because when something is repeated enough times, it becomes your system's new default setting. And it's then wired to keep you here in what you know because it associates it with staying safe. Your brain will always prioritize survival over feeling good. So this invisible internalized peptide addiction is happening out of your awareness, and because you're unaware of it, you become tricked into thinking, into believing that your love for them is so strong, you can't live without them, they're your soulmate, when really it's an emotional addiction. It's codependency. And just like any other drug, your cells will progressively need more and more of it just to feel okay. So when you go no contact, your body starts to go through withdrawals, and it will then send signals to your brain to get you to recreate these peptides, which causes you to seek the source of it. And guess who the source is? The narcissist. Think of them like the drug dealer for your cells. And this is why you feel stuck ruminating and obsessing over them, because your brain is always aligning you with the thoughts that will help you in fulfilling these addictions to get your next hit to feel relief from all that pain. So now let's talk about the root cause of this, because addiction is not about the thing, the source, the person, but a need to stop yourself from feeling the pain of an inner wound. It's about a trauma that's getting triggered within you that you're now trying to numb out through the narcissist. You're looking to self-medicate from not feeling worthy, and because this person is hurting you at the same time, the cycle only increases. Think about it like this. When you emotionally eat to make yourself feel better in the moment, but then you gain weight, which leads you to feeling bad about yourself, you then go back to food to relieve yourself of these feelings. So it's a similar cycle going on, which means that the narcissist is really a symptom of the addiction, and they know how to shine a bright light and basically resurface your deepest abandonment wounds of not feeling loved and not feeling accepted that were previously locked away in a time capsule. So the intense anxiety that then surfaces has you clinging and trying to change this person into who you need them to be in order to feel lovable. And they got you into believing that they were going to provide this for you in the beginning through that whole love bombing phase. And this makes sense because as a child, you look outside of yourself to your caregivers to receive that love and approval that you need. But if these things weren't established within you because your parents lacked the capacity to give you what you needed, there was still a deep part of you that is desperately trying to unconsciously get that love, even if you're now an adult. You're essentially bonding through your wounds because of the unfinished business that has nothing to do with the narcissist and everything to do with you. And that's why we need to bring the attention back to you instead of focusing all on them. And so you end up choosing people, partners, to continue playing out these childhood wounds in an attempt to fix it and put a happy ending on it. But this only re-traumatizes you because, as we know, a narcissist doesn't have the ability for change and they cannot give you the love that you need. So it only reinforces those negative stories you hold about yourself. And in times when you're deeply triggered, you end up regressing back to your most primitive behaviors that you learned to stay safe. So you compulsively keep trying and trying to get them to change, to get them to love you, holding on to this hope that one day they will, because you're looking for them to rescue you. But you are the only person that can rescue yourself. And this is what contributes to the craving you have to reconnect with them. Because if I leave and this relationship fails, then it's confirmation that I'll never be loved and I'll always be alone. So it brings up all these losses within you that have yet to be processed. And you're not conscious to what's happening because it's your subconscious programming that's running the show in these moments. So to break this cycle, we need to address the underlying trauma that's driving this addiction in the first place. If not, your life will continue to be dictated by these earlier subconscious beliefs because it has 95% vote in what you do and what you choose and what you feel and what you think. And just know that you weren't born this way, okay? These are things that you've inherited, that you've learned from others, that then just continue to get passed down from generation to generation until someone wakes up and they heal this pattern of codependency. See this as an opportunity for you to become conscious of this so you can grow from it. And when we get to the root cause of it, our brain will then start to replace these negative peptides with feel-good peptides based on the very fact that you're now internally generating your own self-worth and changing your perceptions that are no longer causing you to accept this abuse because you know that you have value, that you're worth more, that you deserve more. Yes. So you actually start to repel a narcissist away from you, and it breaks the attraction that you once had. And I've experienced this myself, so I know that it's possible. And healing needs to happen at a body level because that's where this trauma, this wound is stored. And the reason why you can't just talk yourself out of it, because your brain will always follow and agree with the content in your body. So this means that rehearsing the story of what you went through, of what happened over and over again, actually only creates more thoughts about the trauma that keeps this peptide addiction going. And I've definitely been there firsthand because I remember when I used to be in talk therapy and I would leave the session feeling worse each time, and it had all to do with the fact that I was reliving these experiences because your mind does not know the difference between imagination created by just thought alone and a real life event. So I'm going to leave you with 2 powerful questions that you can start to ask yourself to gain more information to what might be keeping you stuck here. So first one is, what might there be within me that could possibly be more painful than being with this narcissist? And just take a moment to feel into what comes up for you. At the same time, it's not so much about the narcissist behavior that makes you feel a certain way, but the meaning that your brain is assigning to it. Because something can only trigger you this much if it's personal to you and it threatens your sense of self. So the second question is, what are you making their behavior mean about you that could possibly lead you to feeling activated? So just start getting curious and start journaling about what is coming up for you. And going no contact is so important in your recovery. And when I say no contact, that also means blocking them from everywhere, including social media, no longer going on their profiles to see what they're doing, so that you can start to detoxify yourselves from this addiction. Yes, it will be painful at first, but it won't last forever. And you need to allow your body to feel a new sense of familiar by finding ways to support your nervous system back into regulation. And you can speed up this process when you dive deep into healing these wounds at the root level. And this is exactly what I specialize in, helping people do this so that they no longer need to go through this pain ever again, because I've been through it multiple times and I know what it feels like. And that's why I'm so passionate about helping others move past this for good and actually be able to experience a healthy, loving relationship. So leave a comment below if you're ready to start healing.